let's talk about how to make money without feeling like you have to constantly sell and promote and push. If I have an allergy in business, it's that stuff. And yet, when I got started just under 8 years ago, business bitch slapped me in the face, right? I came in naively thinking that I could just be good at what I did and that there was going to be a virtual line out the door of people ready and willing and excited to work with me, and that I was just going to focus on my craft and work with people and the stuff that I was passionate about, and all of a sudden the word was going to spread. Oh my gosh, did you hear about Dan Bolton? He's amazing. Boom, boom, boom. Applications filled out, payments gone through. And the reality was business taught me this lesson, or at least convinced me at the time, no. It's much harder than that. And depending on what school of education, what strain you kind of came into the online business world of, you might have been convinced that you need upsells and cross sells and a value ladder and a low ticket and a high ticket, or you need sales calls or a VSL or a webinar or whatever it is. You were convinced that none of this is as easy as you might have hoped, and that this is going to require a ton of work and promotion and sales and push. I hate that stuff so much. That has expressed itself in me rejecting sales calls, but more than that, it has been a constant wrestle with myself of any time I feel like I have to promote anything, which is often in terms of business. Like, there are a lot of things I could promote. There's this internal wrestle of, dude, everything in me rejects this. I don't want to do this. And so I've had to figure out how to make money without never talking about what I do and making it completely unclear how people can work with me, because otherwise I would be poor. And on the flip side, I've had to learn how to not betray my own wiring. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a promotional person. I don't get excited about spending the majority of my time talking about the thing that I do with people. I want to spend the majority of my time doing the thing, and a minority telling people how they can come and do it with me. And if you're wired anything like me, I want to tell you, like, the good news is there is hope, but it requires a counterintuitive way of viewing business, of marketing, of sales that I want to walk you through in this video. Like this, I feel this in my soul because this has been the hardest part of business for me. It hasn't been the making money. You can make money by pushing. You can make money by being in the energy of convincing. It's much harder to make money in a way that feels aligned and like it fits your wiring. And that's really what I want to talk about in this video. So I've had a lot of aha moments over the years around this particular piece of business, but I'll share one in particular that was just the most distinct contrast that I can kind of share with you. End of 2024, before I had shut down my coaching business, I was averaging 5 to 10 clients a month, and I'd had, months as high as 30 and, months as probably as low as like a couple when I'd forgotten to promote and forgotten to run campaigns. And so it was really inconsistent, and there was no real system. It was kind of down to like Dan opens and closes a wait list or whatever it might be. And so there was this feeling of like, okay, I have this big audience. I haven't really directly promoted let me stop. I do not have a big audience, but at the time I was like, well, I have like 10 to 15,000 people. That's a lot of people. And I hadn't directly promoted in a while. Now keep in mind, the reason I hadn't directly promoted is because I freaking hate promotion. But my brain is going, well, dude, you've got goals and you may as well do it. And so I sit down and I create this 5-day campaign, multiple channels. And keep in mind, at this point, I've made about $10 million online. I'm pretty good at marketing and sales and copywriting and things like that. So I kind of sit down and I craft what I think is going to work and really crush. Now, all of this time, no part of me wanted to do this. I've never once woken up in my business life and gone, you know what I want to do today? I want to write a campaign. I want to go promote something. Never, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm putting this thing together and I'm thinking it's going to crush because I haven't directly emailed my entire list for a while. I think I might have even run ads. I was going to post stories, I sit down, I map this thing out, and I go in with the highest of expectations. At this point, I was averaging 5 to 10 clients a month with very little promotion. So I'm like, dude, this is going to crush. This is going to crush. And I do this 5-day campaign. Every part of me wants to punch myself in the face every day of it, and yet I do it, and I think it's genius, it's going to crush. And at the end of the 5 days, I get one client. Now, for some people, that one client might be a win, but for me, I was getting one client within 5 days without even trying. So for me to try my absolute hardest and get one client was pretty soul-crushingly devastating. And this was a defining moment for me, because up until this point, I'd had massive seasons of really feeling like it was easy, really adhering to a lot of the stuff I'm going to share in this video as to how to make money without constantly having to promote and sell and live in that push energy. But I've been oscillating back and forth for a while. I didn't really trust it yet. And so this was a line in the sand moment where I was like, dude, I'm done. If that's what promotion looks like for me, either I'm terrible at it or it just doesn't fit me. But either way, I never want to do it again. And so I create a system. Now, the system was really simple. I'm going to create YouTube videos, which is what I already wanted to do. That's the stuff I would do for free. And then I'm just going to set up a really simple system, completely automated, not me involved at any step of the process for, I think it was a $1,300 or $1,400 a month offer. And so that's typically an offer that people would use to sell via sales calls. I ditched sales calls long ago because I was allergic to them. But this is the final nail in the coffin. I was like, I'm not even going to talk to people about this anymore. I'm not going to objection handle. I'm not going to answer questions. I'm not going to promote it. I never want to think about it again. I'm just going to create content and spend 90% of my time working with clients. So I set up this really simple automated funnel. It was one core video that explained my offer that all other videos pointed to. So it was just a link in all my YouTube videos. It's like, by the way, if you want to learn, what it is I do, check out this video. No opt-in, literally just a YouTube video. At the end of that 18-minute YouTube video, there was a really simple, straightforward call to action of, hey, if this resonated with you, you can direct message me on Instagram. And when they direct message me on Instagram, I'm not there. There's not a salesperson there. It's a mini chat automation. Goes great. Thank you for messaging. Here's all the information. Let me know if you want to join. And that was the whole thing. And so I focused 100% of my time on just creating content that I was excited to create. No more time in promotion, no more time like pushing and buy my stuff and open waitlist and close waitlist, none of that. And I just went about and did the stuff that I felt excited to do. And then I had a system to kind of capture all that attention. Well, keep in mind, I just done the 5-day big promotion, one client. I set that up after the 5-day big promotion. And from that day forward, averaging out over the next 90 days, we got a new client every 40 hours. Now, that number is not important. It's not important whether that number specifically is really big to you or not. What I want you to hear is when I tried my hardest to be the promoter, it didn't work nearly as well as when I stopped caring and I focused on being the creator. The first big realization that I found when it comes to not feeling like you're constantly promoting, but also not having to risk going poor, is you need to find and identify the pieces of business, the things that increase your visibility and awareness to other people that you would do for free. Or in other words, that you would do if you were already rich. One of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of people make is they start to reverse engineer business and they go, I need to generate leads. I need to get clients. I need to get customers. And then they not Google these days, they sit down and they go, what is the best way to do that? And so, of course, most of us think there's the best way. Oh my gosh, it must be webinars. Maybe it's mini chat. I'm seeing this person crush with 5-day challenges. And all of that can work, but I want you to sit with this idea. There is no such thing as a best way for any one of us because all of it works, but there is a best way for you. Finding the thing that matches your wiring, the strategy to increase awareness is incredibly important. For some of you, that might 100% be ads because you might be really numbers focused. You might be good at copywriting. And so the idea of like being out on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and creating content that's supposed to go viral, that might seem stressful and hard and not like you're fitting your wiring. You might be more analytically driven. And so you might decide that the strategy for you that you can like be excited about implementing might be ads. On the flip side, you might be the opposite kind of person. My point is, what strategy would you choose if it was guaranteed to work? When you ask yourself that question, you start removing all of the pressure that you feel on, oh my gosh, I need to get leads, I need to get clients. And here is the big factor here. When you start doing stuff to get leads and to get clients, you are bringing repellent energy to everything you do. That's what happened with me with the campaign. No, I can't prove it to you, but I'm telling you right now, there was a subtext below every Dan Bolton email of that 5-day campaign, which was a desperate Dan Bolton. It was not me at my best. It was not me sitting by a poolside being excited to write an email. It was me hunched over like the hunchback of Notre Dame going, I need to write this freaking email, with no life, with no spark, with no excitement. And because of that, people were freaking repelled. The moment I stepped into the work, the visibility strategy I was excited to get behind, all of a sudden people were like, well, I like this guy. Let me figure out what else he's got. Let me go deeper into his world. When you choose to embody and back a strategy that fits your wiring, you instantly become more magnetic. The only way, I'm trying to say this emphatically, the only way for you to escape the energy, the emotion of constant promotion and constant sales and constant push is to remove all strategies that do not fit you. If any strategy that you are choosing to do requires you to hype yourself up, to convince you that it's going to be worth it because it's going to make you money, it is the wrong strategy. The moment you're approaching a piece of content by saying, this better make me money, the moment that you're approaching a conversation with a potential customer or a potential client with, this person better give me money, otherwise it's not worth it, you are repelling everyone around you. The moment you can step into a visibility strategy, something that allows people to become aware of who you are and the work that you do without having to arm wrestle your soul into submission every time you do it, is the moment you become more magnetic. This is the first key element of how to make money without constantly feeling like you have to sell a part of yourself to do it. The second thing that I've realized in this journey, and this is really strategic, by the way, is once people get to know you, how do they go deeper in your world? Like, you probably have a main thing you're trying to sell. Could be a service, could be a product, could be some kind of a mentorship coaching offer. There's probably like all roads lead to this one place. Well, moving from visibility to like pay me thousands of dollars, it's a pretty hard ask. It requires in many cases like manipulation. Like you got to convince someone that they're ready for this. This is going to change their life. And I decided long ago that I've just given up convincing people of anything ever. And what people choose to do with their lives is like none of my business. And so my second big aha was I need a visibility strategy that matches my wiring. But then I need a no pressure path that people can go deeper in my world without me having to like backslap them and kind of, shove them along the journey. And so for me, this has primarily been deeper content like this. Whenever I had someone step into deep proximity mentorship with me to come to an event, they didn't see an ad and then go, I'm buying. They had like binged hours of content. Maybe they had bought a low ticket product. But the key part here is you might call this in your marketing strategy nurture, but in reality, it's just like you're just building a relationship, a connection and trust with a human being. And so you need a visibility strategy that matches your wiring. And then you need some kind of a nurture, trust, relationship building part of the journey that also fits your wiring. And that is something that people can do without you constantly nudging them. This is really, really key. There is no part of me that has to constantly promote that I have lots of videos on YouTube, because the algorithm and human behavior leads people towards consuming more and more stuff. What would it look like for you to trust the process, to let go of the fact that you feel like you need to babysit every single customer, every single client along the journey? And what would it look like for you to create a body of work or a path that allows people to develop a sense of trust without you having to coerce them into it? And I think for me, this is simply about making the path really, really clear. I love the energy and the framing of an invitation to go deeper. That's really how I think about everything I do. When I thought about that automated strategy I shared with you before, there was a YouTube video, then there was like a core, what I would call like a video sales letter, or like a here's who I am and what I do video. And then there was, DM me on Instagram. All of it was from the energy of like invitation. Like I didn't care whether or not people did it. I was simply going, hey, if you're here, like you're trying to figure out what I do and you're interested to kind of go deeper, here is the most obvious next step. The way that you get out of constantly promoting is you create a path that is visible and clear so that people know where to from here. And then the last part of this is like, how do you capture the people who are most interested, most lent in for your core offer? And this is where, for me, I just prefer to go automated 100% of the way. Now, this doesn't mean you're not involved or a human is involved, but what I mean by this in a really practical way is, what would it look like for people, the people that you're trying to attract, to be self-led throughout as much of the process as possible? Anytime you feel like you have to step in and take the reins from someone, you are saying, I think I know better for you than you do. So the moment you're on a sales call, or the moment you're in a funnel and you're saying, spots are running out fast, jump in quick. What you're really saying is, hey, listen, I have a plan for your life and my plan for you is better than yours. And one of the things that this whole kind of counterintuitive way of attracting customers and clients in your world is based upon is attracting self-led people. That the only way you can step out of promotion, of selling, of pushing is when you are ready to attract self-led people. If you are trying to attract people who need convincing, you will never be able to step out of the role of head convincer, right? So if you have not yet let go of the idea that you're not trying to reach everyone, right? I'm going to try and reach everyone in my niche. No. A lot of people are victims. A lot of people need someone to tell them what to do. If that's going to be you, you will never, ever, ever be able to leave the role of convincing and pushing and promoting, because there is a huge part of the population that needs someone like you to tell them what to do, because they do not have enough balls or courage or responsibility to own their life, own their choices, and make their own decisions. But if you are ready and willing to say, no, I'm done convincing, I'm done promoting, I'm done constantly selling, I've got amazing news for you. There is a huge amount of people that are done being convinced, that are done being sold to, that are done being promoted something. The more that you embody this idea that like there's a bunch of self-led people out there that don't need to have their hands held every step of the way, and your job is to make the journey simple and clear. How do they become aware of you? What is your strategy to gain visibility? Once they know who you are, is it clear? Are the path signs illuminated to the next steps that they would use or take advantage of to go deeper in your world? Is there an ebook, a guide, a mini course? Is it low ticket? Is there a challenge? Is there something that you're excited to do that you can point people towards, or you've already done, that you can point people towards, that's simple and clear and will deepen the connection and the trust and the relationship that you have with one another? And then once they are in, they're pumped, they're converted, do you make the final step, the kind of landing the plane moment into the real body of work with you? Is that clear? Is that simple? And again, can you maintain the no convincing, no promotion, no push energy? This has been such a hard, like absolutely hard journey for me. I have loved so much of business, and this is the part I've hated the most. And every time I forget this, every time I focus on money, or every time I start doing stuff because I think it's going to bring in clients and customers, whatever else, I get way off track. And the worst part is it hardly works. The moment I focus back on this stuff and I go, man, I'm going to stop trying to control people, because that's what all that energy is subtly trying to do, promoting because I'm trying to control people. And I just focus on the stuff that I would do for free, or the stuff that I would do if I was unfathomably rich, to make people aware of who I am, to deepen their trust with me. Everything goes better. It requires such a huge amount of trust in yourself, such a huge amount of courage, but I'm telling you, it's completely possible. If you, like me, want to vomit at the idea of spending the majority of time convincing people to work with you, the good news is you don't have to. but you do have to pick another path and you have to go all in. Your whole courageous self needs to step into that. I'm no longer convincing. I'm just owning my space. I'm transmitting my frequency, or whatever it is you want to call it. And I'm trusting that the right people are going to make their way to me as I do that. This is what's helped me. This is also probably just a note to myself. Sending you love.